3, 2, 1, go. Welcome to Grounds After Rounds.
You have these.
Let's get into it.
Am I wearing it right?
No, it's this. We wear it on our arms, right?
Can you fit yours around your torso?
I could like Survivor. Like this could be my. This is gonna now be my shirt that I'll wear.
Yeah.
Should I try? I'm not trying it.
Sexy.
That's just weird. We'll leave that for the inside.
That's for the
inside show.
That's on the other side of the paywall.
I'm ready. I'm ready for Grounds After. Hey, folks, welcome to Grounds After Rounds.
Worst bank robber ever.
I can't even see you guys. I will just trust that you will put the money in the bag for me, and then I will take it to my car.
I couldn't see his face, but he was very fit, and his mask said Fairwinds CrossFit on it. I think we know where to find him.
I swear, officer, I didn't do it. You can't prove it. It wasn't my face. Uh-oh. I'm stuck. I'm getting a little claustrophobic now. So, I should probably, because now the Fairwinds isn't showing anymore, is it?
Yeah, you need to pull it.
So how does that,
Do you need me to show you? That's a good look for you, actually.
I actually don't really know how to do buffs very well. I've been struggling with the one that I have.
So let's talk about this, shall we?
All right.
So just put it over your dome.
We're going to start today's show with a buff demonstration or a buff tutorial. All right, so I put it over my dome. I pull it all the way down.
Just pull all down like you're retracting. Never mind. There you go.
Right, but I want it on my head. I don't want it on my face. Like I want to wear it like they do in Survivor. You know what I mean? Like around my hair.
Oh yeah, they do what you just did.
But then when I fold it in half, oh, look at that.
So you just got to pull it up here.
Okay, and then it's kind
of. No, it
of.
isn't. Yeah.
No, I like that. That's better. And then it's kind of like scrunched down and tight.
Yeah.
I struggle, folks. The first
when your
time
hair gets longer, though, it's going to come out.
It comes out the sides. This is cool.
Yeah. No, it comes out the back, too.
Why did mine do that and yours didn't?
Because I didn't pull it.
Because you're not an idiot? And I am. I'm struggling. So the first time I was in like 6th grade, 7th grade, and some girl tried to show me how to put on chapstick. Or, you know what I mean? We were like doing some project. I was like, I'd never worn chapstick. Uh-huh. And she's like, yeah, it's like putting on lipstick. I'm like, I've never worn lipstick. She goes, okay. So she goes, put a little bit on your bottom lip, and then pucker. Put your lips together and put it on. I go, okay. She goes, what is wrong with you? I'm like, I don't know. I'm putting. And she goes, oh my God. So this is sort of the way I feel right now with this buff.
Right? What are you doing?
Yeah. All right, so you pull it up. Okay, that worked better, I think.
Oh, so speaking of chapstick, Allie came in to work out the other day, and we're talking, and
there.
She's talking for a second. All I could think was like, are you wearing lipstick?
Well, she probably had like a meeting that she had to be all like
she has a tinted chapstick.
Oh, okay.
And so it's like it wasn't judgy. I was just like, I don't think I've ever
like seen you dressed up, Allie.
Right? Like always in workout clothes.
Okay.
Cool. Here we are. That actually doesn't look too bad.
No?
Yeah.
I feel weird.
You got a couple strays.
Is that the stray buff or is that my hair?
No, it was your hair.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's good now.
There's a fly on the microphone.
It's probably just going. That's all people heard for the last couple minutes.
Well, welcome, folks. That was fun. A little, definitely more of a visual, I think, than the.
Yeah. Like, what am I listening
to? What is this crap?
Oh my God.
Next week, boys. We'll pick you back up next week.
Okay. So yeah, Fairwinds buffs for sale at Fairwinds CrossFit. Thank you, Naptown Apparel.
Well done. Well done. They are quite cool. And, of course, as always, the great, wonderful Allie Coleman assisting in the design.
Very cool. If you're, for those of you that are listening, I'm holding it up.
Yes.
And if you really want to see it, you're just going to have to come get one.
Yeah, there you go.
Cool. Awesome.
So, anything going on this week? What's up? What are we, what's happening in CrossFit world?
Jeez. There's all this stuff happening called the CrossFit Games.
That's right, folks. It still happened. Yay!
So loud. Yeah. Yay, CrossFit Games. unlike typical CrossFit Games, it has been turned into, we've talked about this a little bit already.
Yes.
Basically 2 parts.
2 parts. Virtual part this weekend, happening today and tomorrow. You're listening to this on Friday.
Yep.
We're talking on Tuesday. No, it's Wednesday. Oh, geez.
Oh, it's Wednesday.
That's going to be tough to get our heads
that's
wrapped
gonna be
around. But yeah, so...
It's hard to wrap a buff around your head.
Yeah, it's so big. The games, 2 parts, top 20 men and women from the Open, and then the 10 sanctional winners that happened before COVID shut the world down. Got invites and received their equipment list. They received their gear list. They received a hint.
What was a running? It was like a running shoe that they got, almost like a trail looking shoe.
Oh, really?
I don't even think it was Reebok either.
Oh,
it was weird. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, this was it. I think this was the last year Reebok is the marquee sponsor.
Right.
But their contract is completely up. But also that. Last year was the last year that Reebok would
way to save your dignity, Reebok.
Yeah. Last year was the last year that Reebok was the only shoe apparel allowed, because they could wear whatever shoes they wanted last year. So they got all the gear, but then they had to wear the jerseys and the shorts and stuff, but they could wear whatever shoes.
Yeah.
So now I think CrossFit also has the authority to send them whatever shoes they want.
I almost want to say they're new, but it almost looked like a running shoe or a trail shoe or something.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, or Reebok came up with one, maybe. Who knows?
Didn't have their brand.
Who really cares? It's a bunch of free stuff that I'll never get. So, who
true.
are 3 guys who have never eaten in my kitchen, Alex? From Cheers, when Cliff Clavin was on Jeopardy.
Oh God,
and he was up.
Hardly ever watched Cheers.
Oh, you're missing out.
I know. I think it's on Netflix.
It is.
At some point.
It holds, but it doesn't hold quite as well as some of the other 80s. It's like, you're kind of like, ooh, that's inappropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just transport myself back to the time when it was appropriate.
I tried to watch Back to School. We didn't make it like 5 minutes into it. I mean, it is like, it's Rodney Dangerfield, so it's blatantly offensive.
Oh, yeah.
But it's like over the top offensive, almost to where it's just not even really funny.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So.
You're so woke.
No, I think it's just like, you start to feel embarrassed of like, if somebody knew I was watching this.
Well, it's like watching all those old, like all the old Disney movies, and you're like, oh, really? Was this the plot?
Yeah,
but
that'll have to be a workout thing, because that just started to get uncomfortable sitting there on my head. I like my hat better.
Yeah, it's good in hats.
It was too tight. It was squeezing my brain.
Because your brain is so big.
Anyway, so the games are happening, and it is Tuesday. You guys will be listening to this today on Friday, so we actually do not know what the workouts are.
We did get that little hint from Senior
We
Castro.
did, and it included a Fran iteration, a Diane iteration, an Annie iteration, and a Nancy iteration.
Awful Annie.
So Annie, Nancy, Fran, Diane, but in the order.
Oh, you said Annie, yeah.
But in the order of, it looks like if you're any normal person, but Dave Castro is anything but normal, which is probably why he's so good at this. It goes from top to bottom, then left to right, top to bottom. So freaky Fran,
friendly
Fran, a W, meaning weightlifting, damn Diane, and then an M for monostructural probably. Then back up to the other side, nasty Nancy, a G for gymnastics perhaps, and then awful Annie.
No, which is Nancy again?
So Nancy is 5 rounds.
Overhead squat run.
400-meter run, 15 overhead squats, 95, 65.
Okay.
They've done Naughty Nancy at at Carson, and they ran around the stadium, which was about 600 meters. It was also 500 rounds.
5 rounds.
5 rounds. But the weight was like 145 for men and maybe like 95 or 85 for women. Something.
Do you think Awful Annie's GHD was that on the list?
I do, and it was. I've seen some guesses of
50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
Right, of GHD and triple unders.
Oh, really?
I saw somebody do that. Gymnastics was like 30 bar muscle ups for time. Fran was like super light, like 45-pound bar, 35-pound bar, and no ring, so It was like pull-ups or something.
Friendly frame.
Yeah. It was like super light but super fast.
Right.
Which would be kind of interesting to see.
Do you think this is all one workout?
No.
You don't think so?
I think that's it. I think those are the workouts for the weekend. Because if you count 1, 2, 3, 4 on Friday, 1, 2, 3 on Saturday.
You think it's an every second count sort of thing? Like the fastest time is a like if this is so whatever these are.
So these are all task priority.
Right.
But he leaves room. It could be, but then he leaves room. And I'm pointing at all the girl workouts, all the named workouts are task priority.
If you're not sure, just go to Dave Castro's Instagram.
So task priority meaning that the amount of work is determined and you have to finish it in that time. Your time is your score. If it is in every second counts, that would be awesome. But with the weightlifting, the monostructural, and the gymnastics, it leads me to believe that it probably won't be.
Right.
Because if it's a weightlifting, is that going to be like a 1 rep max or like a heavy something? The monostructural, that could be a for time, which would make sense. Like, is it a distance run? They had to get that little ticker tape thing. You know what I mean? The roller tape to measure it. And then the gymnastics could be like an AMRAP of some sort, 7 minutes of burpees.
That's my only thing with a run. Like, they got the ticker tape thing. My only thing with the run is that you can't control people's different, like, terrain and grade. And so, like, send people out of 400 meter. Like, our 400 meter run is different from TrueCore's 400 meter run. Right.
But I think that's left up to the athlete, too, to say, like, well, pick your poison. Like, you have so much in your control rather than, like, well, go find a track.
Go find the flattest.
Yeah, like, you have time to go do it. There were certain constraints and whatever, guidance. But I don't know. I feel like if there's an athlete out there that wants to find a problem with this structure,
they will.
Done. Like, simple, very easy. You can easily.
They probably already have.
Great. Well done. You're out.
Yeah.
Right? Like, last time I checked, it was voluntary. Last time I checked, you don't have to accept your invitation. And you have control over everything. You have control over the setting. You have control over your judges. You have control over your layout. You have control over so much more than you would
if you were there
in the competition.
Yeah.
So lean into those things. I can't. Great. I'm pretty sure if that's what you're focusing on, you had no shot of making the top 5 anyway.
Right.
So
you're looking for little.
You got it. You got it. I get it. Like, if you want to be a professional sport, like, you've got to. You need to find advantages where you can. Well, what I was going to say is if you want to as an organization call yourself a professional sport, then you need to start acting like a professional sport. You need to have organizations within the organization. You probably need to have some sort of standardization. You have to have rule books that are established before the season starts. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the things
better late than never.
Right, the things that CrossFit never really cared much about because it was sort of like, we're a sport, but only because it's kind of fun to do. Which
showed on so many levels, like, recently, too. Like, right. You need to legitimize a little bit more now because you're...
So the argument for that thing, like, I totally get it. But, like, the argument around the specifics of, well, your terrain is better than mine. So you're telling me the Denver Broncos, when they play football, they have an argument that they have a harder home schedule than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are a more temperate climate. They are at sea level. They have higher oxygen levels, blah, 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 right? The Cardinals still play in Arizona? The Arizona Cardinals, right? Well, it's harder because it's hot all the time. But they play in a dome, I think. Right? So
it's a retractable roof, I believe.
Awesome. Yeah. Right? So it's like, okay.
And the field slides out on these rollers outside
in Arizona
out of the stadium for practice field.
So they can grow the grass?
Maybe.
I think
it's
sorry.
It's just cool. It just sits on the track and it slides outside.
But so that's what totally you can totally find what you want to find to complain about, or you could just say, okay, this is what I got. Ooh, I could totally control this, and this. Right. I can put it in my avenue of expertise. I can make the best of this. And last time I checked, the CrossFit didn't need to do this. Like, they could have just said, like, guys. Hey, sorry, it was too hard of a thing to get over. 2020 will just be an asterisk year. Sorry. Yeah. We'll see you in March of 21. Yeah. And we'll see how it goes. They didn't. They leaned into it, and they really tried to do this. And I hope, I have no idea, but I would be willing to bet at a loss, at a financial loss,
totally,
to the organization.
Oh yeah.
So in a sense, like,
I think the games already like kind of were
but I think they made it back in like revenue, like advertising revenue and stuff. And so in a sense, like if you're CrossFit, like you can look at this like, okay, this is just really expensive marketing. Mm-hmm. Cool. So let's make it as fun and as home run as possible.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued, and I have faith that I think they're going to pull it off, and it's going to be really cool.
Yeah.
And then you look at all the organizations around it. Morning Chalk Up is leaning into it. I hope. Sorry, Justin LaFranco. I hope they keep him off camera as much as possible, in the sense of he is an incredible writer. He has produced a great entertainment periodical. They're not news.
Right. They're not news.
Because they are so one-sided.
Yeah.
And I have no problem. I would love to talk to him about that.
Yeah.
That there is zero, like, objectivity in their reporting. Mm-hmm. And I could trace back through May, June, July, like the articles that they were publishing, and where are the return articles of, like, you know, the positive side of things. Right. Like they're kind of the MSNBC of
clickbait.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
So, but he is a very good writer. He's made an incredible product. I wish them all the best. They've tried to stay away from the advertising revenue model, which is really noble and smart. But his strength is not being on camera.
No.
And it's not, I don't care what he looks like. I don't care. I think he struggles to play off of the people he's on with.
Yeah.
And maybe maybe it is because of his strength of writing the copy, but that's sort of like where a producer could, I think, maybe get him moving in the right direction, or just be like, yeah, I'm not the on-camera guy. Like, find another talent, because his copy is so good. And so I think that's where he gets like, no, I wrote this. Yeah. This is what I need to say.
Right.
And then that gets tripped up, and it doesn't stay kind of just flowing with whoever he's talking to. Yeah. But whatever. Yeah. Still, I've never created my own newspaper or, online paper. So
you have a blog.
I do. You're right.
And we've shot many a video here.
Very true. But in the sense of like, it's a pretty impressive product, and I really hope their coverage, which looks like him and Arm & Hammer, which again, like, he's surrounding himself with pretty good. Arm & Hammer is pretty impressive on camera and very good on his feet, and pretty intuitive when it comes to, like, ebbing and flowing with his guests. Mm-hmm. So the two of them, did you see what they're going to do? I'm going to watch it, of course, because it is still enjoyable.
Right.
This is just my backseat driver opinions on his stuff. They are going to, I think later today at like 5 or 6, they're going to go live on either the Morning Chalk Up YouTube or Arm & Hammer's YouTube channel, and they're going to talk about the WODs. They're basically going to do this, I think. Yeah. But I don't know if they'll be released yet.
They
did this on Wednesday. Sorry. This is when it always gets weird when our
right. So, like, has he said when these are going to be released?
Probably no, I haven't heard. And then they're doing the workouts. They did the workouts on Thursday, or at least anyway. Arm & Hammer and Justin LaFranco are supposed to do and have done some pretty cool stuff in prep for the games. Let's try not to continue to confuse ourselves with timeline and where we are in in the time-space continuum, space-time continuum. What do you want to talk about? What do you want to talk about with the nature of the games?
I'm looking to see what they're live on Instagram and YouTube at 1:00 p.m. Pacific time as they discuss the latest news for Stage 1 of the CrossFit Games and answer any of your questions. This was
the AMA that happened on Wednesday.
So this was yesterday. So this is
but it's happening on Wednesday.
Happening at 1:00 today.
Yeah.
Yep.
Today, Wednesday. 2 days ago, Friday.
Yeah.
Yes.
So at 4:00 today.
Yes.
Okay. So, man, we can take a look at the field. Someone asked me the other day.
I haven't done my homework.
I haven't either, but someone asked me the other day, like, so do you think Fraser runs away with it? I don't know. Like, I think this new platform.
I do. I think he and Tia do, especially if it's so. I don't know. Question in there? Do you want me to answer?
Yeah, answer.
My
Yeah.
thought on it. So I think when you're talking about CrossFitters, if we go back to the original Open Regional Games sequence, the Open is testing capacity. So every CrossFitter, if it's that 20-minute AMRAP of the dumbbell thruster, toe to bar, double under,
right.
Dumbbell thruster, toe to bar, double under, anybody who is in the top games level caliber was getting 26 to 27 plus rounds.
Right.
The ones that were even like, when you think of like games caliber. So there's a lot of games caliber athletes who don't ever make it past, didn't make it past regionals, whatever, for, they have one hole in their game or a chink in their armor. But that workout, the dumbbells were light enough, the toes to bar were at a rep count that they should be unbroken, the double unders were at a rep count that should be unbroken. So what that workout is testing is in 20 minutes, how long and how hard and how much are you willing to suffer from a cardiovascular, respiratory, fatigue, and crisis state that your body is going to go into.
Right.
Can you get to metabolic failure? Can you get to VO2 max? Can you get to that lactate threshold and just stay right there? Because those loads, the movement difficulty, and the volume of each rep count, repeated, was at a level where as a games level athlete, you should be able to go unbroken, and you should basically be able to go at about 90 to 95% throttle. My thumb, that's if you're watching 51st Dates, my son wasn't such an idiot. You should be able to go at 90 to 95% throttle from 0 to 20. The whole time.
Yeah.
And so what will make the determination between 28 rounds, 32 rounds, which I think the Gideus or BKG did, which was insane, is your transitions.
Yeah.
Who moves smooth? Travis Mayer is a perfect example where he shows like side by side of him doing various workouts across the Open just by slight transitions, by moving a little bit faster in one place and slower in one place. These little tweaks are the differences between 6 rounds and 7.5 rounds of things at different times. So the Open is the test. If you look at each year, first workout of the Open is usually like, okay, let's just see who wants to suffer. Second one is like, who wants to suffer with maybe 1 or 2 slightly higher end movements. The third one is usually the moving workout.
Yeah.
When I say moving, we're going to separate people.
Yeah.
It's either going to be a heavy lift, it's going to be a heavy lift with maybe a complex handstand push-up, and that's handstand walk. Something that to us mere mortals is like,
it's what you spend all year to get like one maybe thing.
Right, and they've got to do them 4 reps when tired, right? So that originally there was one where like you had to earn with a nasty little Metcon, then you get to the heavy barbell.
Right.
4th and 5th is now like, okay, now after you get to that third, it's like, okay, I've got my top 100 or I've got my top 50. Now I got to get my top 30. Now I got to get my top 10. If you look at the Open and you look at performances and where people place, usually if you were in the top 20 at the Open, you're standing on you don't have somebody standing on the podium at the games who is probably not in the top 10 or 20 of the Open in years past. Now it's definitely because you just don't get an invite unless you're some wild card who finds their way, through social media, or you win a sanctional randomly or something, like whatever. But the Open in itself breaks out what then the macro of the Open to regionals to the games does. Because the regionals makes the assumption, I've now got the 20 fittest people from that region all in the same space. They all displayed cardiovascular, metabolic conditioning, gymnastics skill, weightlifting strength, and the ability sort of to be good at sport.
Right.
So the regionals was Castro's little like experimental zone to be like, okay, let me throw some stuff at you guys and see what you can handle when it's unknown, even though most of the work, especially with regionals, they're all known.
Right.
So the idea of unknown and unknowable kind of goes out the window. Some regionals people have time to practice things.
Yeah.
So the sport element was not as well tested. It was a little bit more capacity. It was a little bit more now. Now, can you do this 3 days in a row?
Right.
Can you do it 3 days in a row, not in your own gym?
Right.
Can I put you in a cattle herder and like make you sit for 45 minutes? Now you're cold. You got to pee. Can you go out on the floor? It's like
you can do that several times a day.
Exactly.
For a few days too.
Can you perform like a show pony on demand outside of your control? So there's a competitive element that regionals tested that I don't think any other phase. Sanctionals does kinda. Sanctionals did kind of.
Yeah.
But they weren't unified. They weren't unified. Is that the word I'm looking for? Maybe.
Sure, yeah.
But they weren't standardized across each one. So right, some sanctionals, maybe the athletes have a better lay down area. Maybe they didn't have as much time between heats, whatever. Regionals standardized that you could honestly say when the 40 men and 40 women and 20 teams, I think, showed up, 30 teams showed up at the games, they legitimately, I think, could make an argument that it was standardized. Those were the fittest 40 people and the fittest 40 men and women and teams.
Do you feel like the regionals did a better job of that than sanctionals?
100%. Yeah. Without a doubt, I would bring back regionals, but I completely understand Rose's opinion, and he's right, that there's an ecosphere, an economic, ecosystem that has started to develop around these sanctionals. That's really cool. It's probably healthier for the athletes, right? They get a sense of they can control their schedule. You have one bad weekend, you're out.
Yeah.
Though that happens with other sports too. You have one bad game in the playoffs, like blah blah blah. So I don't know. There's arguments on both sides. He's not wrong. I think I'm right in the sense of that you standardize it.
Yeah.
But I think there was an episode of Talking Elite Fitness where Sean and Tommy, Sean Woodland and Tommy Marquez, Tommy and Chase Ingram solve this whole problem. They actually say I didn't listen to it either. I'm sure it's pretty smart. It's good idea fairy stuff.
Right.
Who's paying for that? What's going to be this? You know what I mean? So
the idea is great, but
the actual execution of that. Exactly. How's that play out?
Yeah.
So we get to the games, and this comes with, I know this is a really long answer to your question. Thank you for asking.
That's a good question.
Thank you for asking me other clarification stuff, so I'm not just wandering. The games, that's why swimming shows up in the games, because it's odd. Those of us who grew up swimming, I laugh, right? But it's the same thing of when a gymnast who grew up doing gymnastics watches a CrossFitter get so happy because they walk on their hands for 10 feet.
Right.
And they're like, you understand that 3-year-old children can do what you just did and not break a sweat.
Or how people see a ring muscle up.
Right.
See a ring muscle up is a game changer.
That's not even a scored event in any gymnastics events. Women do 15 bar muscle ups in a row just to get up into the parallel bar or whatever those bars are called.
The bar muscle up for gymnasts is short people stepping up to a box to reach a pull up bar.
Right. That's it. Right. Exactly. So we'll temper they're amazing accomplishments if that's what you've been working towards. Keep at it, and I get it because I'm one of them that I did it.
This is not.
But when I laugh at those who swim like wounded seals, and I think to myself right, because they only started swimming when they were 20 years old or 21 or whatever. Having started swimming when I was 5 and swam competitively for almost 13, 14 years, I can jump in a pool and still swim good enough to beat almost any CrossFit.
Right.
You get to the games, those people can do feats of strength that are amazing compared to an actual Olympic weightlifter. You guys would be good for the warm-up team.
Right.
They can swim fast enough that they would be pretty good for a JV community summer team, 12 and under category. Yeah. But it's all right. They do fine. They can run. Matt Fraser talks about they can run about as fast as a JV 7th, 8th grade middle school team, but it's good enough.
Right.
And so
it's funny, Fraser trained with a high school track team.
Right, and he got dusted by freshmen.
Yeah.
And so that idea of these are athletes that when it comes to CrossFit, couplets, triplets, monostructural weightlifting, gymnastics, coupled together, high intensity, somewhere between 18 to 15 minutes long, no one is going to touch them. And those who are the best at that are the best because they can put the throttle down and go to 99.98% for that full time, and they know what 99.98% feels like versus 99.96%.
Right.
Matt Frazier, as far as CrossFit athletes go, can push the pedal and go 99.9999992% or 99.999991%.
Yeah.
He's sort of like Froning in that, I think, in that capacity, where he knows where and what to throttle at a fidelity that seldom anyone else does. And if you do that in these types of workouts that are basically CrossFit, I don't know if there's anybody out there you watched his last 3 events at this most recent games.
Yeah.
No, he caught, walked right past, and just left in the dust Noah Olsen.
Right.
Up to that point, there was a handful of things that Noah is an amazing, right?
Yeah.
He is an amazing athlete. He is of the best in the world. He got second at the games. He is untouchable by 99.9% of the world. But there were a few events where his athleticism, which is awesome, his athleticism was better than Matt Frazier's.
Yeah.
It was slightly better. I forget a couple of the events wherever that he did really well. When it was the basic CrossFit-like events, nobody touched Matt Frazier.
Right.
Nobody touched Tia.
Yeah.
You look at some of the athletes that sort of broke out, they were really freaking good at CrossFit. They weren't so good. It's not that they weren't so good. They were less breakout at the things that were like ruck running or carry this odd object or whatever. They weren't bad. They're still world class.
Yeah.
But that's where, if those, and I'm pointing now at your phone because that's where it was, if those aren't things testing that they can test at home, then I don't think some of these other athletes who are good at those things and are good at the top of the pinnacle sport,
Right.
they're not going to get a chance to showcase those because they won't make the top 5.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Totally. And I think last year at the games with those cuts, when a lot of people were like so mad, it was like the weightlifting, the heavy lifting was after they had already made so many cuts.
Right.
And a lot of people were complaining about that. And my personal thought was like,
yeah, but
it wouldn't.
You would have been broken out anyway.
Yeah.
At some point.
The cream rose to the top.
Right.
And like so.
And last time I checked, it's called the CrossFit Games.
And those first couple workouts were also like much more CrossFit.
Yeah, I mean, one was from the friggin' .com.
Yeah.
And it's a standard, it was a run, it was rope climbs, and it was a medium weight a medium weight squat snatch.
Yeah.
Medium weight for those athletes.
Yeah.
185, and look at what happened. Some of them still started to fail. What it was a pacing test.
Yeah.
And a lot of them failed the ability to pace.
Yep.
They didn't know how to compete in a field that large and stay within their own zone. Ben Smith, I think, should be lauded as like the most impressive because he was in the first heat and he had to know, how fast do I go out, but not too fast to find myself, crushed here. He did great. He stayed in his own lane, zone, whatever, and made it. Vellner got himself burned because he went out a little too fast. He tried to stay with Frazier too long.
So all those people that are complaining, I just kind of like.
Well, you talking about complaining about the cuts?
Oh, the complaint about the cuts and that like certain things didn't show up in the order that they wanted them to.
Right. Which again is I always chuckle like, you have actually read some of the things about the CrossFit thing that you're doing,
right,
and the journal, and looked at years past. Like, look at that event, Chaos.
Right. I just feel like that's like a
3, 2, 1, go. What am I doing? Doesn't matter. Run to the implement. I'll tell you when you get there.
And maybe it's more like, I don't know, maybe this isn't the same, but I think of the NCAA tournament, and it's like, you're the 16. Let's not use 16. 16 never gets that far. But the 12 seed, maybe.
Yeah.
12 seed, and they get past the first round, second round, and then by the third round, they're facing Duke, right?
It's funny we both said Duke.
And I'm mad at myself for saying Duke, but I feel like most people resonate with Duke. I hate Duke. And
it's okay, Maryland.
And
you'll come back someday.
And but that'd be like, well, that's unfair. We shouldn't have to face Duke yet. You know what I mean? They're like they're cream of the crop when it comes to like I shouldn't have to go against them yet.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean that's
the draw.
This is how you did the whole season, and based on how you did the whole season, this is where you wound up.
And that's the rules of the game before we started the game.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you all agreed. And again, like, now you can make the argument from the athlete side, yeah, but I didn't agree to this.
Yeah.
Like, I agreed to doing it in person. I've been training for this specific. But in the sense, CrossFit can always fall back on we are testing the unknown and the unknowable. Yeah. We are testing work capacity.
I feel like you can fall back on that any decision they ever make.
Want. Yeah. And that's, in a sense, it is kind of an existential discussion or a metaphysical discussion in like, well, what does unknown and unknowable mean? It means anything I want it to mean because it's unknown and unknowable. Like, this was originally designed with the metaphor of like, well, it's for, those cops and firefighters and military personnel and, the dad or the mom who wakes up at, 3:00 in the morning with their kids screaming because the house is filled with smoke. Who's going to be able to get up, grab the baby, grab the dog, grab the whatever valuable, and jump over the hassock, break down the door, and get everybody out of the house? Yeah, that person, their fitness allowed them to survive.
Which I feel like a games athlete be like, well, we're not talking about, like, we're talking about the sport now. It's like, but that's the roots.
That exactly. That it is a GPP, general physical preparedness, of athleticism that scoffs at specialty. Mm-hmm. Specialization is the downfall of the species. It's a science fiction writer, and I don't think of it, but that was always Glassman's claim, is that no, I want the B+ student across these 10 general physical skills. Right. That person who can be pretty good, but maybe not the best at all of them, will be the best at CrossFit. Yeah. And then the translation of that is, the better you get at each of them equally, the more likely, if I find a sport that none of you have ever played or done, you will best adapt to that the fastest. Yeah. That's been, I would say, that's been proven year after year after year. Mm-hmm. A lot of them, the 2010 games was great. They had to do the sandbag transfer. Right? They carry all those sandbags down, and then they put them in the thing, and they carry them across, and then they repeated it in 15 or 16 with better rogue wheelbarrows. Yeah. The other ones were from Lowe's that they put together the night before, which is hilarious. So some of them, like, the wheels were breaking, and so it kind of sucks for the athlete. But again, unknown and noble. Right. Maybe if you loaded it more evenly, like you were putting too much pressure forward, who knows? Yeah. Tough shit, deal with it. That was always Castro's answer. Yeah. Probably doesn't sell that well anymore, but who knows? I mean, maybe he'll come. Anyway. Yeah. The stake drive that they did in 2009, right? People's sledgehammers broke. Some people were sledgehammering into ground where they found like rock or base rock levels and stuff, and they were screwed. And it's like,
did someone smash their finger too?
Well, that's just, you're an idiot. Yeah. Well, not an idiot. You smashed your finger. Like, what do you want me to tell you? Yeah. Don't hit your finger next time. Yeah. So then they came back with the double banger, that they tried to do something similar to test that striking motion. Right. And then people found a way to cheat. Yeah. They dragged the hammer on the double banger. Okay, well, then next, good job, athlete. Kind of a crappy move. Like we said, don't drag it, but you figured out a way to work around that. Right. So they haven't yet come up with a way to negate that. But there's, it's this constant back and forth of unknown and unknowable. And then these athletes are so athletic and so sharp and so competitive, they will push the boundaries of the mechanics and the consistency for intensity. Yeah. And I'm thinking of Noah Olson. Like, if you watch his strike, every time he strikes, he's pulling.
It's a strike and pull.
He's a strike and pull. Hey, good on you. Judge didn't say no rep. Nobody really meant. Yeah. Well done, dude.
A couple people were kind of pissing about it, and I was like, tough. I get it, but I was like,
you should have figured it out.
You saw that he was getting away with it. Why didn't you do it?
Yeah, totally.
Your ego probably just cost you a place on the podium.
That's right. So that's sort of, and you look at, so consistency trumps all. I feel like we maybe believe in consistency here a little
somewhere.
Bit. I bet you, Noah. That's courageous. Yeah. I bet you, Mr. Olson is in the top 5 coming out of this. Because if that guy is anything, he's freaking consistent. And if they go to benchmark workouts, that dude figures out a way to get CrossFit workouts done. I've had issues with him in the past of his, I don't even know him, right? Right. But he kind of just
something about him just kind of rubs me the wrong way.
But
are you not kind of rooting for him a little bit?
I am. Yeah. I really want to see him in the top 5 because I think even the rogue thing, right? Everybody had their setups. They looked good. Everyone went 3, 2, 1, go. Nobody had technological issues. Guess who had technological issues? Noah Olsen. And maybe it wasn't his fault. I don't know. But it's just like, come on, man.
Yeah.
So I really want him. And if they're named benchmark workouts, that dude knows how to do CrossFit. And I bet you he does really well. I'm putting my money on BKG. I'm putting my money on Matt Fraser to probably be number 1.
Yeah.
And then from there, I hope Vellner has gotten over his own head case, and I hope he does well. He won the Open. These workouts feel, look, sound like maybe they'll sort of be open-ish from a standpoint of if they're benchmarks. Benchmarks are often capacity testers with, none of those workouts other than Annie really has like high-end movements in them if they do triple unders or whatever. So it's sort of just can you do multimodality of monostructural weightlifting or gymnastics coupled into couplets? Can you do them boom, 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 back to back fast?
Yeah.
Vellner's pretty damn good at that.
Yeah.
I don't know where the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, I don't know who breaks out, but for me, those are kind of my 4 on the men's side who I see is like, okay, this is your shot.
I love BKG. I would love to see, if anyone beats Fraser, I'd love to see BKG do it.
Really?
Honestly, Vellner and Fikowski, like, they're great athletes.
Did you watch the All In?
I haven't watched it yet.
I watched the first episode.
Yeah.
Funny.
That's what Shelly was telling me.
The beginning is really funny. Their ability to make fun of themselves is really funny. They clearly are in a different headspace that they're doing it.
And they were a year ago?
Yeah, they're doing it because they want to. When they get into the details, like in the middle of the episode, I just started kind of fast forward in the 15 seconds.
Well, because I feel like Noah Olsen, for some reason, just things he does and says sometimes rub me the wrong way. But like he's and it's almost like he's so positive that you're just like,
I don't buy it.
But like,
maybe he is.
But Vellner and Fikowski are so whiny to me sometimes that I'm just like, you guys are really fit and like you've been on the podium and like you're top, like. What are you whining about? Like,
right, like
just
learn, like
you're making, like they don't.
It's nobody ever. It's never their fault that they didn't do as well,
right? Which
or
I feel
least,
like.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
I'll just say Olsen. Like I feel like he did, and I don't know if, and maybe it was just for like the visual of it, like almost was like be like I should have done this, and I didn't want it enough, and I did, like he would almost take ownership. I don't know if he actually believed that.
You talking about this last game?
Just in general.
I think this last game's. When he was legitimately happy to be second.
Yeah.
I think he was legitimately proud.
Yeah.
And I think rightfully so. It was for me. It was like, and again, we are watching this as fans. I do not know these people
totally
in any way
right now. Yeah.
But when you saw him, he was rightfully and almost the first time I've seen him authentically, like really proud of his performance, and he should have been.
Yeah.
But I also saw for the first time like a legitimate, authentic, like, I don't like this. Like and I don't know if I saw it in an interview or the way he said it, but that he was coming back. Yeah. And that he had a taste of, since the first time when he was a rookie, and he had that leader's jersey for a while before Froning chased him down again.
Yeah.
Like, I legitimately think either if he didn't do it, but he changed. He looked great at the Rogue. Yeah. He looked like he was in the middle of a training cycle, so like there were things and still holes and stuff.
Yeah.
But just roll with it. He's got to, as I say, as my hair continues to grow, like the shaved side with the man bun, not really
and
great.
A little, like,
not.
He doesn't really.
I don't know,
go, dude.
But again, like these are personal. Who the hell are we to? Yeah, that's his choices. Hey, is he married?
He's engaged with that.
Hey, if she digs it, whatever. Who cares?
Yeah.
What the hell? Who the hell are we?
He's a pretty guy, that's for sure.
So anyway, I'm rooting for Fraser simply because I just love dominance.
Yeah.
And I
love Fraser, but
I want to see Noah give him a run for his money. I'd like to see BKG, same thing. I'd like to see Vellner. They are a cast of characters which are really cool. I've got to roll by 10 or 5 up. So we got about 5-10 minutes. Women. Let's do the women.
Women?
Let us talk about the women. Sorry, Clinton, that was right. Like, let's do the women. That's inappropriate. That's, if people listen to this. Let us talk intelligently and as glowingly about the women competitors.
Now that we're done doing the men.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, good.
suck at this diversity inclusion thing.
I see the line from Tia to second place so much. I feel it's such a bigger gap than I do from the men.
And for the same reason. So I think all of my things about why I think makes Fraser so dominant, Tia Claire Toomey, of all athletes, men and women, since the beginning of this thing, I think has cracked the code on how you dominate in CrossFit.
Now that I think about it, before she got pregnant, that line was a lot smaller.
Correct. And Saunders is back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love to see her.
Kara, she's pretty amazing too.
Yeah.
I think, statistically you can look at women athletes, CrossFit Games athletes who have taken time off to have a baby. They come back stronger. Yeah. They come back more. I mean, it's an amazing, right? Like I have no qualification or ability to, but I mean, holy crap. Like that just it's got to be something that works and that they come back and are so much like I think of
probably build a higher
Vobril. Valerie Vobril is like the one that jumps out in my mind, and then I can't think of her name. It's like a V, but it'll come. Not Valerie Vobril, right? That is a V. There's another
Double
one.
V's.
So I think Kara Saunders has a shot of knocking the door, but I still go back to my description of what I think made Fraser so dominant with this CrossFit as the foundation. Yeah. I'm not sure anybody beats Tia's ability to just find the 99.9999999% effort and just sit there longer and with more efficiency and transitions. Oh, by the way, they train together 24/7. You've got Shane who's just watching.
I'm sorry, because this is I would love to see an American woman on the podium.
So Amanda Barnhart, that's who I think. If you think, and you want to talk about somebody who would be who I think is going to make a run at Tia's dominance.
I could see Haley Adams doing it, but maybe another year or two.
Maybe I think the emotional strain of CrossFit is more than people give it credit for.
Yeah.
And having started so early, I think it's going to be tough. I think you look at like a Brooke Wells. Yeah. Maybe she's still got it in her. But I just think there's something to be said of like you just drain that battery and you just keep banging your head against it. Like at some point, I think Katrin has not twilighted, right? And by the way, like just to caveat again, these are athletes that on their off day with a broken leg and probably like a torn shoulder are still beating us RX.
Oh god.
Their RX, we're doing their RX weight and they're still beating.
We're doing their warm-up weight.
Yeah, seriously. So this is neither here nor there. We're talking now as like commentators and fans, which always irritates me. Like, you pick up the barbell and try.
Yeah, no.
So, but we're talking at that elite level, top 5. I'm not sure Katrin breaks it. I'm not sure she's top 5. I think it goes Tia, Amanda Barnhart, Jamie Green, but it's not Green anymore. It's Jamie.
Oh, yeah.
This is where I didn't do my homework.
Yeah.
Then maybe Kara Saunders. Maybe she's in there, but those are my top 4 that I think, and it could break apart in there.
Jamie Green, she's American, isn't she?
No, New Zealand. But she works she's CrossFit Yaz out of
well, they all train
UAE.
in America.
I don't even think so. Jamie,
No, I don't know.
And it's not Green though. That was her maiden name. She's married now. Maybe she was always married. It just changed. But anyway, those are my 4 that I think will break out. And then again, that 5th wild card, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know the field well enough.
Yeah.
And I think there's just such competition. And then we don't know what we don't know what any of the workouts are.
Yeah.
But if in those modalities and they're structured as the original named workouts or benchmark workouts are, I think those play towards those 4 women's strengths.
And I'll tell you, I find that, it shows like Matt Fraser and Tia Toomey were professional weightlifters before CrossFit.
True, yeah.
And I think you find like gymnastics is such a tough skill, but skilled gymnasts are small and like not as strong as weightlifters. And I think that I feel like if you're the top games athletes need to be strong.
Yeah.
But Tia and Matt have done such a great job of they were already strong, so they didn't need to put that much more time and effort into it. And strength,
they're kind of like my swimming analogy,
right? Like
they started weightlifting or new weightlifting, yeah.
And he's and so they didn't need to put that.
He was also an aerialist. He was a downhill ski aerialist.
Oh, that's right.
So he used to snowboard and ski, and he still water skis and does like ridiculous tricks in the
just
air.
Very nasty.
So there's a very high-end kinesthetic awareness.
Yeah.
Tia was a runner. She was a track hurdler.
She's got a really good engine built up
already. You got it. So there's like, you look at their backgrounds, their athletic backgrounds, and all it does kind of makes sense. But that's...
Shelly's interrupting again.
That's their strengths. Anyway, it'll be very cool to see. We, to close out, we've done a week of games workouts. I think it was kind of fun. I still want to check and see where I broke out on Wednesday's deadlift burpee.
Yeah.
If somebody could still, I'm waiting for that time machine. I'd love to go back to 2007, make a run at OPT. I think that would have been it. I think, actually I would have never won the sevens because of the total.
What was your time?
Today?
Yeah.
3:17. So it's
6:17 it is. 6:34.
The fun part to look at that is knowing what you know now, could you go back? I still wouldn't have won.
Right.
That's, I think, the testament to, and I'm actually fitter now than, if I'd done that like when I first started CrossFitting and nope. Like if I go back to my 2008 self, I'm crushing that dude.
Right.
If I go back to my 2012, 2013 self, I'm still crushing that guy. I'm not crushing him, but I'm still beating that guy because I'm still PRing scores that I did back then. So that's, I think, the cool thing about CrossFit too, is if you're smart about it, and you keep the consistency aspect, you can still keep PRing.
Yeah.
These individuals at the elite level, they are at a point going to reach the pinnacle. Fraser's 30, soon to be 31, I think, in later this year. Yeah. Somebody else has a birthday coming up. At some point, he will peak, and it will be downhill, and he will get back up to that peak.
Yeah.
I think I never really, as an athlete, I never exploited my physical potential at a point where I could have peaked and then never got it. Like I think there's still, for us, we have PRs in our future. Yeah. Until at some point, like the body says no, and then you have different PRs.
At some point, I want my snatch PR. I was getting
total. Yeah.
We were snatching the other day, and I think Amber walked in as I was doing it. And I'm so frustrated with my snatch because I'm like, I feel like I know what I'm doing wrong, and I've been coaching people. And like what they can do to make better.
Your mirror neurons were firing.
And I have this I'm stuck at this weight, and I know there's something I'm doing wrong, and I'm not sure what it is. And I was like, I think I know what it is, but then maybe it's something that I have no idea what it is, and I'm frustrated myself as an athlete and a coach at the same time. Which I was because I told her, I was like, now I don't even I'm supposed. People are coming to do their PRs today for the summer solstice, and I'm so mad at myself right now, and I've lost all confidence in my ability to coach something because I'm doing something wrong, and I don't even know what it is. And I was like, but I let it go. And then Joe muscle snatched 155.
155, right.
So, anyway,
Joe.
So.
All right, man. So that's the games.
Yeah.
Should be a fun weekend.
Yeah, this has been a fun week.
And I'm looking forward to seeing how it plays out, who the top 5 are, and then who we get to watch in California.
Yeah.
Throw weird things around.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So what is it? The online, and then
a month later.
A month later will be the final, the top. They take the top 5 men and women, and they go through that. Cool. Yeah. That's gonna be fun. So we'll have another one of these going into that.
Yes.
And we'll do our homework on the athletes.
But which again, pretty smart, genius, and you only have to do homework on 5 athletes, 10 total. Yeah. But 5 on each side.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Right? Makes for maybe some more interesting coverage.
Cool.
All right, man. Gratitude. Mine's easy.
Yeah, go for it.
Mickey. I was such a D head to him the other morning. In joking, I didn't even think about it. Yeah. But and he's so thick-skinned, and he's such a good dude, and he just kind of rolled with it. But I think I really did sort of not piss him off, but kind of what the man? And I really felt bad, and then I think I overdid it, and then I think he kind of, I got this eye contact look from him you're good, man, just stop. Yeah. And I just was so uncomfortable, and I'm like, oh, man. Yeah. So it's just so funny I love that, he's in that category, but so many of that early morning group that half the time they're still waking up, I'm also still waking up, and I'm still figuring out like I'm still a little grumpy, they're a little grumpy, I'm a little, and so I was very grateful for him just to roll with me and also play a little bit. Yeah. But it's a unique breed that is willing to show up every morning at 5, and he's one of the best.
He's one of them.
So
cool.
That's it.
Cool. Mine's I think I've used it before. Jen Koppel's.
Who was his ride? That morning.
Of course, that's how she gets herself to go. She calls someone and says, "I need you to pick me up."
No, she drives.
Oh, she drives.
Yeah. But that I think is the responsibility to keep her. Yeah.
But we were talking about Cal Ripken. It's been 25 years since he broke Lou Gehrig's streak. And she told me about this great article in the newspaper about how he had never actually watched a video from that game. And he just watched it a couple weeks ago. And she was telling me about that. I was like, "Oh, it sounds really cool." She cut it out of the newspaper and mailed it to me. And then wrote this note. She goes, "I just feel like he embodies like the curiosity, the consistency, the courageousness. Like read the article and the things he does." And
I would agree.
Absolutely consistency. That's for sure.
That's pretty cool.
So got a drinking problem? Mm-hmm. So anyway, that's fine. That was really cool. I got that yesterday in the mail. So thank you, Jen Koppel. That was cool to read. And I love Cal. So that was a cool mail.
He is one of the best. He is the best. Still, nobody's ever beaten that record, right?
No, it's gonna be very hard to.
Yes,
today's game and age.
Yeah,
with especially players like, I need a rest day.
So what do you got? I wanted to do one of the dad says.
You
ones.
do it. My joke is I gotta go.
Oh yeah, ladies. If your man can't appreciate your fruit jokes, you need to let that man go.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
And on that note, we'll see you on the creek.
See you on the creek.